The SS Discovery creaked as it tried to stabilize on the icy surface of the unknown planet. The cold was biting, and I, Captain Ethan Cole, could feel every bit of air entering my lungs as if they were needles. The visor on my helmet displayed an endless landscape of ice, and the faint light from the distant star barely warmed the desolate scene. "Prepare for landing," I ordered, my voice echoing through the team's headsets. Dr. Sarah Mitchell, our scientist, was adjusting the collection instruments beside me. "Do you think we'll find anything useful here, Ethan?" She looked at me with a mix of hope and apprehension. "That's the idea, Sarah. But we can't lose sight of the safety protocols. We're in uncharted territory," I replied, trying to convey the confidence I was struggling to feel myself. Jake Henderson, our engineer, was checking the exploration drones. "Captain, if the surface is as unstable as it seems, we should send a drone first. I don't want anyone getting hurt on the first day." I agreed. "Good idea, Jake. Lisa, you and Jake deploy a drone as soon as we land. We need data before moving forward." Lisa Tran, our communications specialist, nodded, her expression focused. "I'll monitor the communication signals while you explore. You never know what we might find." As the ship's door opened, a blast of freezing air rushed inside. The scene was both breathtaking and terrifying. The ice reflected the star's light, creating a shimmering dance that almost seemed alive. As I stepped onto the surface, a subtle tremor reverberated beneath my feet. "Everyone, stay alert. Let's stick together and stay sharp." The tension was palpable, and each of us felt the weight of responsibility on our shoulders. While Sarah began collecting ice samples, a growing unease settled in me. "Don't stray too far. We need to maintain constant communication," I reminded the team. The silence of the planet was oppressive, and the uncertainty of what awaited us made each second more tense. Suddenly, a stronger tremor shook the ground, and a bright light burst from the ice formations around us. "What was that?" Jake exclaimed, his eyes wide. The formations pulsed with an unknown energy, and I knew we were about to discover something that would change everything. The tremor had charged the atmosphere with a palpable energy. I could feel my heart race as I looked around, trying to process what had just happened. The ice, which had seemed inert moments ago, now pulsed with a life of its own. Jake, ever the curious one, was the first to break away from the group. He approached one of the formations, the light reflecting on his face. "Hey guys, come check this out." His voice was full of excitement, but also a hint of unease that I couldn't ignore. "Jake, be careful," I shouted, but it was too late. He stepped closer to the glowing floating figure, which seemed to dance among the ice fragments. It was mesmerizing, as if the light was calling to him. "It's incredible, Ethan. Look at this," he exclaimed, completely absorbed. "Jake, get back here. This isn't safe," I said, the worry growing inside me. I moved closer, trying to pull him back, but he hesitated, as if in a trance. I need to understand. It's like it's communicating," he murmured, his eyes fixed on the energy entity. The entity pulsed and vibrated, as if responding to his presence. I felt a mix of fear and curiosity. "Jake, the team is depending on you. We can't take risks right now." I forced myself to keep my voice steady, but the tension in my chest was building. Then, abruptly, the entity began to dissipate, as if it had received a silent command. Jake blinked and looked around, confused. "What happened?" He seemed lost, like he had just woken from a deep dream. "The entity is gone," I said, trying to control the anger bubbling inside me. "We need to regroup with the team and discuss this." "What did you feel, Jake? What did you see?" "I don't know, Ethan. It was like it wanted to tell me something, like we were connected," he replied, his voice trembling. The uncertainty hung in the air, and I knew we couldn't let curiosity lead us down a dangerous path. "We need to be careful." We don't know if these beings are friend or foe. The priority now is everyone's safety, I affirmed, looking at the others who were approaching, their expressions reflecting the shared concern. The atmosphere was charged with the promise of mysteries, and I felt we were only beginning to scratch the surface of what truly inhabited that planet of eternal ice. Gathered in the small control room of the SS Discovery, the tension was palpable. The glow of the screen visor reflected the worried faces of the team. "So, what do you think that was?" Jake asked, breaking the silence that hung over us. Sarah was excited, her eyes shining with possibility. "I think it could be intelligent life. The way it moved, it was almost like a dance." She gestured enthusiastically, as if trying to capture the essence of what she had seen. Ethan, however, remained skeptical. "Intelligent or not, we need to be cautious. We don't know if they're hostile. We need a stricter protocol. And most importantly, we need to understand what we're truly dealing with before we act." "But Ethan," I interjected, "if we ignore the possibility of communication, we might be missing a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. Just imagine if they could actually help us in some way." My heart raced with the thought of exploring this new connection. "Yeah, but curiosity could be our downfall," Ethan replied, his tone firm. "We need to keep a cool head. We need a plan." The atmosphere was heavy as the team decided to disperse to their tents. Night was approaching, and a strange feeling accompanied me. The planet's darkness seemed to swallow everything around us, but suddenly, a bright glow danced across the ice, illuminating the surface as if something was calling to us. "Look!" Lisa exclaimed, already on her feet. "The lights! They're moving!" Ethan shot me a worried look. "Let's stay together. No one goes off on their own." The light continued to dance, creating mesmerizing patterns in the darkness. Part of me wanted to rush towards that beauty, but Ethan's caution held me back. "We should try to communicate with them," Lisa suggested, her eyes fixed on the lights. "If we use our communication equipment, maybe we can understand them better." "No, we can't do that," Ethan responded, his voice full of gravity that I couldn't ignore. "This could be a trap, and we can't risk the team's safety." Faced with the dilemma, I looked at my colleagues' faces. Everyone was torn. Curiosity clashed with caution. The light pulsed, and a wave of uncertainty hung in the air. What did this planet truly want from us? And what would we do next? As we paired off, tension hung in the air like a heavy cloud. Jake and I were together, both aware that curiosity could lead us into unknown dangers. The intense glow emanating from the cave in front of us seemed to beckon, and I felt my heart race. "Jake, are you sure we want to go in there?" I asked hesitantly, eyeing the cave's entrance. "Look, Sarah, this could be the discovery of our lives. Think of the possibilities. If these beings are really intelligent, we might be about to learn something incredible." He was visibly excited, and his passion was contagious. But the voice of reason inside me whispered that we should be cautious. "Okay, let's go in, but if anything feels off, we get out immediately, agreed?" I said, trying to keep control of the situation. Jake nodded, and together, we entered the cave. As soon as we crossed the threshold, I was hit by a wave of vibrant energy. The glow around us was mesmerizing. Forms of energy danced in an almost rhythmic pattern. "Incredible, isn't it?" Jake murmured, his eyes wide with wonder. "It's like they're celebrating or something." "Yeah, but we need to be careful. We don't know if they're friendly," I replied, keeping my voice low. The environment seemed to pulse with a living energy, and I felt like we were being watched. Suddenly, a rumble echoed through the cave. "Jake, what was that?" I yelled as the ground beneath us shook. The glow began to flicker, and the energy forms that had been dancing now seemed frantic. "We need to get out of here," Jake shouted, already turning towards the exit. But before we could move, a crack opened in the cave wall, and the ceiling began to collapse. "Run!" I screamed, pulling Jake towards the exit as chunks of ice started to fall around us. The ground shifted beneath our feet, and chaos reigned. "Sarah, the exit's blocked!" Jake yelled, his voice full of panic. Desperation began to take hold of me. "We need to find another way out." I looked around, searching for an alternative, but the collapse seemed inevitable. The sound of Ethan and Lisa's shouts echoed in the distance, and my heart sank. They couldn't leave us here. "Jake, let's try to climb that ice wall," I suggested, pointing to a less damaged section. He nodded, and we started climbing, but with every movement, the cave seemed to want to swallow us whole. The pulsating light around us grew more intense, as if the energy beings were trying to help us, or maybe warning us about what was about to happen. I felt the biting cold as we emerged from the cave, but the temperature shock was the least of my worries. What awaited us outside was a sight I could never have imagined. A colossal figure, made of pure energy, began to take shape before our eyes. The pulsating light emanated from it, reflecting not just the phenomenon's beauty, but also our deepest fears. I could see the anguish on Jake's face, Lisa's uncertainty, and Sarah's apprehension. What exactly did these beings want from us? "Ethan, what's happening?" Jake questioned, his voice trembling as he tried to approach the figure. "Don't go near it." "Wait!" I shouted, but he had already taken a step forward. The image that formed before us was a grotesque distortion of our own reflections, each one a twisted version of ourselves. My mind filled with terrifying thoughts, memories of past failures, and fears I thought I had overcome. The pressure of the moment was almost unbearable. "It's an illusion," Sarah shouted, trying to stay calm. "They're manipulating our minds. We need to stick together, not let them divide us." Lisa added, her voice steady despite the fear. Without a second thought, I stepped forward, placing myself in front of the figure. "Listen. We come in peace. We are not your enemies." My voice echoed in the cold air, and the figure hesitated, as if processing what I had said. "Ethan, you don't know what you're doing," Jake exclaimed, grabbing my arm. "It's dangerous. Maybe it's the only way to understand what they really want from us." I shot back, my heart racing. The tension was palpable, like a wire about to snap. The energy beings began to pulse more rapidly, as if they were debating among themselves. "Please," I continued, trying to convey sincerity in my voice. "We're here to learn. To understand. We don't want to fight." The colossal figure seemed to waver, but the light surrounding it remained intense and threatening. The silence that followed was deafening. The weight of our insecurities hung in the air, but at the same time, there was a glimmer of hope. What would happen next? I didn't know, but I was determined to find out. The tension was almost unbearable when suddenly, the energy figure twisted and transformed into an exact copy of me. Everyone's eyes widened in shock. "Ethan?" Sarah asked, her voice trembling. The copy blinked, its expression identical to mine, but there was something deeply unsettling in its gaze. "Yes, I am, and I am all of you," the being responded, its voice echoing like a distant memory. "That's impossible," Jake exclaimed, stepping forward, his fists clenched. "What do you want from us?" "I want to understand," the copy of me replied with an icy calm. "You were chosen for this test. An evaluation of humanity. Your courage, your ethics, your emotions, all of this is part of the experiment." "Test?" I said, anger boiling inside me. "You deceived us. Our lives are not an experiment." "But that is exactly what you do to other forms of life," the mirrored figure replied serenely. "We are merely reflecting what you are. That doesn't give you the right to manipulate us." I shouted, the fury consuming me. The being simply smiled, an expression that was both mine and yet not mine. "You have the power to change this narrative," it continued, gesturing to the other energy beings floating around us. "Show me your true strength." With a cry of determination, I looked at my companions. "Let's do this together," I yelled, and everyone agreed. We used the ship's equipment, channeling our energy and knowledge, forming a force field around us. The being disguised as me began to writhe, the power of our united intentions trapping it in a cycle of energy. "This is just the beginning," I shouted, feeling the adrenaline surge. In one final effort, the energy beings began to dissipate, and the copy of me became a bright light before being absorbed by the field. The planet began to tremble, and the ice melted around us, revealing a vibrant world beneath the surface. What once seemed like a frozen desert now teemed with life. Exotic plants and unknown creatures emerged from the waters that had been trapped beneath the ice, and as we looked out over the horizon, a new era was unfolding before us. "We did it!" Jake exclaimed, his face lit up with emotion. "Yes," I replied, looking at my friends. "We learned to trust each other and to face our fears. This place is a new beginning." The team joined in a collective embrace, and in that moment, we were no longer just a group of astronauts. We were a family. The energy beings now watched us as allies. "Let's explore together," Sarah said, and we all agreed. With a new sense of purpose, we decided to stay and uncover the secrets this planet held, knowing that we had learned not just about it, but about ourselves.